When you love something, you talk about it differently, you look about it differently, you think about it differently, because when you love something, you see it differently. Have you ever tried to explain to somebody something that you love and they just didn't get it? We're going to think about that today on Now What Devotions from Trinity Lutheran here in Cyrus. Text today is still this week from John 14, verses 15 through 21. And it says in here, Jesus says, "If you love me, you'll keep my commandments, and I'll ask the Father, and he'll give another advocate to be with you forever. And this is the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees him nor knows him." Sometimes when we love something, we see things there that other people don't see. You know, for instance, I really love old 1980s Nintendo games, right? Old 8-bit games. The graphics are terrible, but they are so fun to me. And they remind me of my childhood and of all the goofiness and the idiosyncrasy of the time. Love to play them. And yet, when I try to explain to others what's so great about those games, people don't always understand it. They say, "Oh yeah, well, he likes those." And I go, "Okay." Yeah. Maybe in your life, there's an activity that you do, like, I don't know, hunting or fishing, or maybe cooking, or knitting or crocheting or cross stitch, or all those different things that we do that we love to do. And other folks might not really understand what you're doing, but you see something there so valuable because you love it. That's what Jesus is talking about today. I know I've had the experience, maybe you have too, where the Spirit shows up in your life in some way. God shows up and something great happens, and you try to explain it to someone and they just don't get it. Now, it may be that they don't get it because they've never experienced anything like that. It may be that they don't get it because they don't know your life story up to that point that well, and it might be out of context. Or they may not get it because they just don't believe in that sort of thing in the world. But when you learn to love something, you start to see it different. You know, the church itself gets a pretty bad rap sometimes, and I look around here and I have such a deep love for the church. And I've been hurt by the church, and the church I've seen screw up so many ways, and there are so many things we could do better. But we try. We try. And when I look at the church in love, I'm able to forgive those who are cruel or exclusive. I'm able to forgive those who are misled or maybe misinformed. And sometimes I'm even able to forgive myself for the judgment that I have for the way the church messes up sometimes. But when you love something, you see something different in it. Jesus says, if you love him, you'll keep his commandments. And what is his commandment? Love one another as I've loved you. And when we love Jesus, the Spirit shows up, gets active in our lives, does all kinds of stuff, and we can see it because we love. And love gives us insight into the truth. Who's a person? Jesus Christ. So that's your thought for today. Have you ever seen things differently because you loved it? Do you think maybe that might have something to do with how the Spirit shows up in our lives, or how we see it show up in our lives and how we make sense of it? That's your thought for today. From Trinity Lutheran, Now What Devotions, I'm Pastor Chris, signing off. Hey, if this video has been useful to you, go ahead and share it with a friend. I'll bet it'll be useful to them too.